All right, folks. 5th November. Remember, the 5th of November, the media, the lies and plot. I'm seeing something new because 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 16, 20, 24, pretty much since cable news really decided we're in charge of, we'll tell the people what they should think, and ran with that. Every presidential election had that big map, and they were calling races all day long. This is what it looks like. Now it looks like this, blah, 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 blah. 4 years ago, they really decided we're in charge, and numbers were changing rapidly and randomly all day. I've seen several social media threads, X and other places, Facebook, Instagram, reporting that Harris is apparently panicking at wherever she is. I don't know if she's at the Naval Observatory, White House, her alma mater, wherever. I don't know. She reports where she was going to watch it from her alma mater. I'm not seeing any media trying to say anything about this is how it's going, and I do support that. We should not have an all day long, here's who's winning, here's who's winning, here's who's winning, here's who's winning. All that does is influence the election. The election of 2000, Bush versus Gore. The media now infamously called Florida before the polls were closed everywhere in Florida. See, Florida crosses time zones. The far western part of the Panhandle is actually a different time zone. And there were multiple people who said, yeah, we turned around. We didn't vote because they called it, and we couldn't change that. Gore famously went on to sue for an ungodly amount of time, calling dangling chads were really a vote for him. In 20, they ran an old man who didn't know who the hell he is, where the hell he is, what the hell he is, and a cackling word salad generator, and insisted it was a perfect election. How dare you suggest there was fraud? Rubio has already pointed out that at least one non-citizen, a Chinese citizen, registered, requested a ballot, got the ballot, filled it out, returned it, and once they figured out that it was cast by a non-citizen, well, we can't find the ballot, so I'm sorry, it'll be counted. So we already know there's stuff going on. There have been firebombings of drop-off points for ballots. And I don't believe for a moment that it was a conservative who did it. After they pulled their stunt in New York, where they raided a home as if it's the winter home of El Chapo himself, to seize a squirrel and a raccoon that had been there for years, were well cared for, were not a danger to anybody, and then euthanized the squirrel within hours. The death of a squirrel has become a rallying cry for the alt-far right. They're panicking because just the 3.5+ years we've had of Biden-Harris has shown the country the Democrats don't give a flying rat's rear end about this country or her citizens. And to any moderator who might be forced to watch this next bit, I watched this as she said it on television. Harris was just overjoyed that she could send $100+ million to Lebanon in additional aid. But when asked after that why the people of Appalachia were not getting more aid, she said Congress needed to come back to authorize it. How could she get authorization for additional aid for Lebanon, but not for American citizens who needed it badly? And again, she said that on live television. They watched as she pandered, changing her accent right, left, and center. Watched as when people cried out, "Jesus is Lord," at one of her rallies, she laughed and said, "You're at the wrong rally," but then went and did a campaign speech from the pulpit, the very people who claim the church should not be involved in politics, but when they go to a church, you should not try to censor her, it's her First Amendment right, shouting, "Joy comes in the morning." Watched as she would give speeches to Muslims saying she supports Palestine, but the next speech to a group of Jewish people says she supports Israel. We're seeing, for the first time that I know of in U.S. history, but definitely the first time in my life, the Amish as a people are voted. For those who may not know, the Amish are a very, very faith-filled people. They live a very simple life. They don't use electricity much, if any at all. They don't have computers and televisions and the internet and all the rest of this. I have heard reports that some of the communities allow you to have a phone, but you have to go out to the road and stand at the road to use it. We've seen reports of the Amish showing up in Appalachia to build new structures that will be used temporarily to house people because they need it. We've seen people post video of them flying political flags from their horse-drawn buggies. The Democrats are panicking because they are losing control and they can't stand it. They're trying to figure out how to force their will on the people. One of them even stated, well, all but stated, "We just won't certify his election." Now, he went on to say, no, if it's clear, if it's valid, we will do our duty. But if it's not valid, if it's not fair, if it's not legal, we don't have to. Well, all they have to do is say, well, we've got reports of fraud. We have to investigate. We're not certifying. We're not certifying. We're not certifying. 6th of January, 2025 will come, and they will scream, "We're not safe. We can't meet to certify. We're not safe. They're going to riot again." And when nothing happens, see, because we said they were going to, they realized we knew and they decided not to, but we're still not safe. We can't certify. All they have to do is suggest it's not valid, it's not legal, it's not right, it's not safe. They're panicking because for 3.5+ years, we've seen exactly who the swamp is. We watched during their J6 committee as they had a witness who admitted she was not present for the event she was testifying about. So that's an admission that my testimony is based on hearsay. She claimed Donald Trump tried to grab the wheel of the beast. A Secret Service agent who was there said, no, that did not happen. And Adam Kinzinger famously said, that agent likes to lie. All but saying, we'll take hearsay over the witness. For those who don't know why this is moronic, the Beast is the most armored car in this country that I know of, okay? They have units of blood and other medical supplies on board. They train more extensively than NASCAR drivers or police drivers to be able to handle this car. The president does not ride in the front. He rides in the back seat. And you physically cannot get from the back seat to the front seat while in the car. But somehow, Donald Trump just waved his hand and vanished all the barricades and managed to teleport himself into the front seat so he could grab the wheel and then teleport back when they wouldn't let him. I really wish that agent had said, I'm going to go and get someone to bring you video of the vehicle that the president was riding in that you say he tried to grab the wheel of, and I'm going to show you how that is physically impossible for a human being even 1/4 the physical size of Donald J. Trump. Because at that point, they would have demanded the agent not leave. If he tries to leave, he's arrested. He's going to go to jail for threatening Congress. We've watched as they held people in contempt of Congress and jailed them. Roger Stone. They're still trying to jail Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress. But Merrick Garland will not release evidence that they have ordered him to release to them, and they hold him in contempt of Congress, and he's still doing the job of Attorney General. They've proven over 3.5+ years that they will send our money to other countries while we suffer, and that they will happily enforce a multi-tiered justice system where they can do whatever the hell they want, and so can anyone else as long as it's within their plans. But anyone who dares stand up to the swamp, nah, you're going to jail. You'll never get out of jail. You don't even get a trial. We have people still in the D.C. gulag more than 3 years and 9 months later, still haven't had a trial. At least one of them has died because they didn't provide him proper medical care while he was there, and he died after being reluctantly released from them. If you still can't see the truth of this, that the swamp, Democrats, rhinos, and everyone else beholden to the swamp and loyal to them, does not care if you live or die, as long as they get their pound of flesh and their percentage of your wealth and your net worth, then you seriously need to consider checking into a mental asylum. Because if you can't see it, then you are so willfully blind and ignorant to the truth that you're dangerous. There is no right that applies only to one demographic, one segment of the population. You cannot have a right that others do not. But they insist that this is true, that there are rights that only apply to certain people, that there are actual rights that only some people in the population of the U.S. can actually exercise. Those are called privileges, not rights. Rights apply to everyone. They're crying and whining about states actually codifying that they will not allow non-citizens to vote, when the 26th Amendment of the United States says that American citizens aged 18 years of age or older cannot have their right to vote denied them. The Constitution clearly states only U.S. citizens may vote in the United States elections. But they still insist, one, that it's not happening, non-citizens aren't voting, and that two, it's racist to even suggest that should be the policy. I don't know how much more clear I can make it. Every 4 years we hear, this is the most important election of your life. This one truly is, folks. 2016 showed us what an outsider can do. But he had a lot of advisors that told him, oh, just nominate this person. Just pick this one. And they filled his cabinet with swamp things. That's not going to happen this time. He's got RFK. He's got Tulsi. He's got Elon. And they are panicking that he will actually win and that then he will have a cabinet they can't control. And that, God forbid, the people of this country actually have a president who working for them over others. It's 4 p.m. here in Texas. Polls are going to start closing in the Eastern time zone soon, and not too long after that, Central, Mountain, Pacific, and Hawaiian. Make sure your voice is heard.